All hail Biafra. This is Biafra Liberation Army Network coming to you again. Please like, share, and comment.
Today, update I want to na Omoyele Sowore apotago we be question that now up to now, up to this moment, there is no Abia lawmaker that has indicated interest in joining this protest, and it is a very big shame to the Abia that na ebe Mazen Nnamdi Kanu see. There is no lawmaker, only one traditional government in Nigeria has not indicated. None of you have indicated interest in joining this protest, even after the former Vice President Atiku, as big as he is, has actually joined. Apart from Honorable Obiagocha and the Nayuku Bokwara Wazurike that have joined, there is nobody again. Abia lawmaker, all the senators in Abia, all the reps, nobody else have indicated interest to join. And this is the cry of Omoyele Sowore. Now the update or drop you from your screen. Follow post and his verified Twitter handle. Alright, there was a particular video of a conversation between Mazen Nnamdi Kanu and Omoyele Sowore that happened in UK as far back as 2019 in Chokunugire. So that came for that this guy Abu Hota Atakobi Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. You know some of their conversation. You know an open plain line of understanding between Mazen Nnamdi Kanu and Omoyele Sowore. You get to understand the reason why this guy Kajikuru we Kushike with Onyendu. But before I play you guys the video, for some of you now might be the reason why you should join this protest. If you want to know the reason why you must be part of this protest, watch this video of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's lead constable Aloy Jimakok. You know the focus on this video. After watching this video, then I'll play you guys this conversation, an interview session anyways, between Omoyele Sowore and Mazen Nnamdi Kanu.
Warrant upon which Mazen Kanu was arrested was issued by a federal high court in Abuja. Warrant of the federal high court in Nigeria is not valid for effecting and arresting Kenya. Kanu did not undergo extradition proceedings in Kenya. Extradition is a condition precedent to the accession, to the assumption of jurisdiction of a court over a fugitive suspect returned from overseas. So the condition precedent was not met. That's a challenge to jurisdiction. Then we have Article 12, Sub 4 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, ratified in Nigeria in 1979 and codified as part of our laws in 1983 that prohibits unlawful expulsion of Africans from one country to the other. Yes. And we have a continental counterpart that prohibits as such. It's our position that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's exit from Kenya was unlawful expulsion that robs this honorable court of jurisdiction. So we're not talking only international law here. There's a misconception that, hey, Ejimako is talking about extraordinary rendition as if it's out of the blues. No, even our constitution prohibits extraordinary rendition. When the constitution said, at section 35, that nobody shall be subject to arbitrary or unlawful arrest. What does that tell you? It means the constitution says extraordinary rendition, even within the domestic territory of Nigeria, is unconstitutional and is illegal. So at the arrest or what happened to Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya was arbitrary and unlawful. These are our positions, and they are very, very clear. We have these Nigerian authorities to support all these things, and that is why extradition is important, and that is why United States, with all her military might, came to Nigeria. They want our top policeman, Abakari. They didn't take him by force. They approached the Nigerian government. They have the military, everything, but they are approaching our cause to issue an order that is called an extradition order or extradition warrant. So why didn't Nigeria respect Kenya? If Kenya cannot come to Nigeria and grab anybody and take them back to Kenya and subject them to trial, why should Nigeria be allowed to go to Kenya and grab anybody without authority of law?
Okay, sir. Okay,
and
sir.
Subject them to trial.
Sir,
so that is our case in chief.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Now, this is so important because these two people here, in my opinion, represent the future of our country, Nigeria, and in a way, the future of Africa. Because I've always believed that if Nigeria gets it right, the rest of Africa will get it right. The constituencies that these two people represent, the kind of inertia, the kind of energy that is resting within the constituencies that these people represent, when this energy is tapped, Nigeria will never become the same thing ever. So I'd like to welcome you people to this interview. You guys had a meeting, a one-on-one meeting, a private meeting, and what we would want, it was off camera. So the reason why we're doing this is for us to be able to, if you permit us, to share what is the content of that personal meeting that you guys had. First of all, Mr. Omoyele Sowore, you had initiated this meeting, and I want to know what was your reason for wanting this meeting to happen.
Well,
as you mentioned, I ran as president in Nigeria in the last election. And part of the reason I ran was to see Nigeria completely for what it is. And after the exercise was concluded and a winner was selected, I've seen Nigeria completely for what it is again, the second time. But before now, I've been trying to reach actually Martin even before that. It happened at our station. Sowore TV was one of the first interviews he had. Some of the widest coverage worldwide, where he made proclamations that are true to today. And but I couldn't win the election. And I decided when I heard it was a mistake that we should meet, that the conversation that will discuss the humanity around the area known as Nigeria today must start now, and we must start having organic connections and collaboration. I came out of that election knowing fully well that without some serious action, the place we refer to as Nigeria today will become history pretty soon. And it will become history by virtue of its own internal contradictions. And during the election, I'm known as having said that a lot of things are wrong with Nigeria. I mentioned before that the Constitution is a fraudulent document. In fact, I said it at a debate that Nigeria was set up as a business, and until it becomes a nation, we're deceiving ourselves. So, what you have said earlier is the energy that's in the room here today, but I think beyond that is also history that is being made here today. That young people who have ideas, young people who have conviction, young people who are willing to make sacrifices can meet one-on-one and have a very honest and truthful conversation. If you call it a private meeting, it means that we cannot disclose some of the conversations we've had. Okay. So we've had a private meeting, and it's going to be one of the series of meetings that we will be having going forward. Right. And he's very clear. I cannot speak for him. As he's very articulate enough to tell what his position is on matters. But we had a very, very great meeting, and we had discussions that opened ourselves. So we opened up to ourselves about what we think we need and what should be happening. And like I said, he will tell you what he feels, but I'm excited. Right. That's what I can tell your viewers about this meeting.
All right, thank you very much. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu of Magic Indeed, you are known as a very, very tough human being. And when I reached out to your people, and I held my fingers crossed, and they came back to me and said, you have agreed to meet with Omoyele Sowore. I cannot explain why you agreed to meet with him. Why did you agree to actually meet with Omoyele Sowore?
I agree because actually there's a sort of love-hate relationship between South when they give us very favorable coverage, we love them. And when they don't, of course, we do the opposite.
Okay.
I admire his courage and his conviction and what at his age he's managed to accomplish. And running for presidency in the land of the dinosaurs, as I call it, is on its own a very remarkable achievement. So I commend him for that. I also agree to this meeting because there are a lot of misconceptions about what we represent, what I represent, in terms of the agitation for Biafra, which I think sometimes is lost in the haze of ethnic interpretation, I would call it. So having a one-to-one with him will allow me to clarify my position, and that by POV. And also because most of my rather memorable pronouncements were made on Sahara TV when I was here a few years ago. So it will be a opportunity for us to sort of revisit that, nostalgically speaking, of course. Another thing is that I needed the West, the Yoruba race, to understand that IPOB is not against the Yoruba people. I am not against the Yoruba people. Most of my very good friends are Yorubas. I'm very, very close. When I mean good friends, I mean I'm very close friends indeed. And most of those actually fought for me when I was incarcerated. Well, Yoruba people. Well, they spoke up very eloquently about the injustice being meted out, not just to myself, but to IPOB in its entirety. Prior to Banjo, we went to his birthday, that was last year, and we'll do so. We know that God will keep him, we shall also do so this year. Everybody knows about my affinity to Fanike, how close we are, and I know Fanike as well. What unites us, I believe, is far more greater than what divides us, is being able to rationalize our position within that damnable contraption they call Nigeria. During our conversation, I made it very clear that had Nigeria been put together by Zeke, Awo, and Ahmadu Bello, I can live with it. But the fact that a white man came across, set up a private limited company, and then from there we became a nation, I find irredeemably insulting. Because I can't do something in Europe. It would be very foolish of me to allow that to happen in Africa. I also made it very clear that had the conversation being led by Wole Soyinka succeeded, or culminated in the Sovereign National Conference, perhaps there could have been some sort of merit in trying to articulate a way out of the melee that Nigeria is in, within the understanding that that very Sovereign National Conference took into consideration the views and aspirations of everybody. Because Nigeria, the way you see it, is not just about the Igbos, the Hausas, and the Yorubas. There are other people within as well. Their views and their opinions must also count. But having things the way we do right now in that part of the world, their voices are being subdued. And it's not fair. I am a freedom fighter. I fight for not just my own freedom, but for the freedom of everybody else. I don't want anybody to suffer. I don't want other African countries to be in poverty while Biafra grows and flourishes. I want everybody to be fine. And also made it very clear to him that I am prepared to convince Biafrans to make sure that oil and gas found in Biafra land in this present day is distributed to everybody else to do it as they please. If it means handing it over to the UN to supervise the sale and disbursement of funds, so be it. I don't want people to think that our agitation for freedom has anything to do with, wealth or economy or the need to exclude other people. Not at all. I want to make that categorically clear. And I want to say to him that I have this, I wouldn't say Pan-African, but a West African vision and view. And I want to say what else developed. To the point whereby to have a high-speed red line running from Calabar to maybe Banjul, what was you mentioning?
Dakar.
To Dakar in Senegal. It'd be a very wonderful thing to do indeed. We want everybody to be developed. The same way it is in this country or this part of the world. America actually is fighting very hard to see that Mexico to an extent is developed. At least to mitigate the influx of migration into America. So I have the love and passion for everybody. But it was the way that Nigeria is structured that made it almost impossible to get that very message across. So we're left with no choice. And because the CHIT begins at home. You need to save yourself before you save other people.
That's right.
That's what we're trying to do.
That's right. Thank you very much. Mr. Sowore, you were in Nigeria, you were in the thick of things. One thing that endears me to both of you is that you were there, you left your place of comfort and you were in Nigeria and you were in the thick of things and you went around campaigning even in the village of the president and without security and you faced all kinds of things. And yet, there is, just like Mazen Africano has said, there are some misconceptions out there. One of them is that, why did you take money from Buhari to make sure that he wins this election? First of all, you took money from Buhari in this election. And in the past, APC had paid you to work against Jonathan. So can you explain to us why you did that?
Well, let me first correct an impression. According to Mazi, Buhari's village is not the place I went to. Buhari's from Sudan.
So it's on record that you say that Buhari's from Sudan.
But here is the point, and we have to get serious about what we're about. You see, a lot of people have this misconception that if you are courageous enough to confront the system, the way we have done, and the far-reaching connection, coverage, and reach you have, you must somehow be taking money from somebody. I mean, Mazi himself has been accused.
Yeah, I was going to
So, it's part of what you do in leadership when you are in the freedom fighting zone. One of the things that people are throwing darts at you, what most people don't know is that I am actually of a joy extraction, a joy boy in Ondo State. So if I were to be close to anybody to take money, it would be from Jonathan. If I really wanted money, and if there was time that Nigeria had money when we were selling oil at $100 and above, it was the easiest time to take money. So if I didn't take it and I opposed Jonathan, that means there's something to my character. But I don't want to waste time on it. We're here talking about substance, about the future, and not distractions. I went into the election hoping that people will open their eyes, young people, to turn the tables around the people who are, running all of us down. But that did not happen. But what happened out of it, which I'm excited about, is that people are now sufficiently, a lot of people, energized, conscientized, and mobilized to understand that elections alone cannot solve Nigeria's problem. That counting of votes or the way they have dominated the process can solve it. There's something far greater than that. In fact, I propose a revolution. Should be, and that is what I'm committed to at this point. And that is the reason why I align with anybody. And we've had these conversations in private. I believe that even in the new state of Biafra that's been proposed, justice must be a key part of what will prevail there. Otherwise, you will still find pockets of the oppressors who left Nigeria. Because these oppressors have tasted blood in Nigeria. Suddenly they cannot be drinking coffee in Biafra. They will try to do the same thing. But what has not been tried and tested is a system of governance that uplifts the integrity of people on the continent of Africa. And Africa as a whole is suffering with it. I'm about Pan-Africanness. Left to me, the entire African continent should be one nation. In fact, what was rejected by Europeans when Nkrumah and the rest were proposing an Africa, one Africa, is what they're now using it at the European Union. One currency and integration of all the European unions and nation states that are pretty much borderless. But when this was proposed by Nkrumah and the rest, they killed them, they maligned them, they used propaganda to destroy that agenda and did not allow Africa to take over as a continent. And they were instituting and putting in their puppets on the continent of Africa. And I think everybody that is aspiring for a better future cannot afford this kind of puppets in any space. And we've been able to make it very clear, articulate it within the period of a year and a half that I was running for presidency, what Nigeria would achieve if it went the other direction. If it didn't, it's very obvious that Nigeria is heading for a collision. Anybody who says at this time that he's seeing light at the end of the tunnel in Nigeria should be expecting a collision with another oncoming train. I think that is the conclusion that I came with after the election. And I made it very, very clear. But conversations that needs to happen at this stage cannot be conversation about what they are discussing in the beer parlor. We are talking about the lives of millions of people at stake, their dignity, their future, their children, nation states or several nation states that are together, or federalism, whichever way we want to go about it. I'm here to discuss how we make it happen and how we make it happen as soon as possible before it gets too late.
That's right. Thank you very much. There's a great saying that says, small minds discuss people, average minds discuss events, and then great minds discuss ideas. So that's really what you're saying. You're saying we should be done with all this, took money from that person, don't take money from that person. What I would advise people, go and read and find the truth about this man and what they have done.